Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. To support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys, head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Ha ha!
Ha ha! Ha ha!
Let us swashbuckle.
Ha ha!
Listen. All right,
Listen,
weird energy.
It's
hey,
early.
everybody.
I've slept for about 3 hours in the past 48.
It is not early.
It's early for me.
Yeah, no, I get it.
When you wake up at like 6 a.m., the entire rest of the day is early.
Yeah, that's true. Hey, everybody.
Hello.
My name is David Bell.
My name is Tom Ryman.
And we just watched Helluva Boss.
Helluva Boss.
That's the only way to say it.
Guys, do you feel that?
All right! Don't panic, Moxie!
Elevator 666, departing for Lust.
Oh, Blitzy!
Shut the fuck up!
We watched selected episodes of Helluva Boss. We did not watch the entire thing.
Because we're down with the kids.
Mm-hmm. Is that what this is? Is this the kids?
All right, well, so, I think, right? This feels like the kids.
No idea.
So, for starters, hey, happy 12th birthday, Scrappy. Hope this makes you a happy, scrappy hero kid from your irresponsibly permissive dad. That's all I have written here. I hope you know who you are.
Man.
This Scrappy. I don't know if you're an animal. I assume you're a child, like a human. Happy 12th birthday.
Well, I mean, sure, yeah, happy 12th birthday, but I'm gonna tell you this right up front, Scrappy. This is not. We're not altering any part of what we say because a 12-year-old might be listening.
Of course not. Apparently, a 12-year-old has been listening.
Right. Apparently,
this whole time.
This was a 12-year-old child's birthday wish.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
So exactly. You don't just make that by chance. That means you've been listening.
Yeah. So happy birthday. Hope it's enjoyable before you are taken away by Child Protective Services.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we could be used in court.
I feel like we are. We will eventually be submitted as evidence in some way.
I hope so.
Yeah, something we've gotten our horrible fingerprints on.
Yeah,
will be used to send somebody to the gas chamber.
Oh God, hopefully. Yeah, this is a YouTube series. It has a lot. It had like Norman Reedus and it's got Mara Wilson did a guest voice. It's like a big YouTube series called Helluva Boss.
Mm-hmm. We
We watched episode 1 and we watched episode 4, Cherub. And it is essentially like so I don't think this is for kids, Tom. I think this is like for goth teenagers, right?
It's for like teens, I think.
It's Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Yeah,
like, that's what it reminded me of.
Very much so, yeah. It even has Richard Stephen Horvath in it as Moxie, and he voiced Zim.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is it's a YouTube show, I believe. God, I'm old.
Yeah,
and it's about like basically like a hitman in hell who runs an assassination company in hell, and various demons, people who have died, I should say, show up and they have hits against people in the living world. Basically, they want to drag people to hell with them. That is the impression I got from watching these 2 episodes.
Essentially, yeah, it's a bunch of demons in hell that run a revenge service. So people who, it's normally, in the first episode, it is, in the first episode, some school teacher who catches her husband cheating murders them both and goes to hell, and then she's in hell as like, a tormented spirit or whatever, and hires them, and they make it seem like that's unusual. Like one of the characters says, so we usually don't work for like demons. Like, this is normally people who hire us, but sure. And then in the second episode we watched, it was also a demon that hired them. So I don't know.
Right.
If
so maybe, yeah.
I don't know if they normally are. They make it seem like they normally take. It's like for people who pray to the devil for revenge, basically, and they exact revenge for him. That's
right.
what the first episode makes it seem like the gig is. But who can say? I've only seen 2 of these. So.
I've only seen 2. Yes, we've only seen 2. They're pretty short. There's apparently there's only like 8. There's like I don't know if it's a spin-off or there's something by these animators called Has Been Hotel that looks like it's similar, and apparently A24 picked it up as a TV show. So that's kind of wild. It did it like but it picked it up like 2 years ago, so maybe it's already out. I'm just learning what this is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why I feel old, because I'm like, not old. Old's the wrong word for it. It's kind of amazing how like you click on the link for this and it's got like 30 million people watching, and it's like, who are these people? Why haven't I heard of this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just wild how splintered the internet has become, so that like an animated show, because this is like professionally animated.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I really wanted to talk about is the animation in this is very good.
Yeah. This is like a TV show.
Yeah.
And it's on YouTube, and it's just, again, it's wild to think about, like I remember watching like Strong Bad and thinking like, wow, I can't believe they pulled this off. And then you watch this and you're like, this is just TV.
Yeah.
On YouTube. There's something, I don't know, weird about that. But not weird. I guess that's why I feel old, because this feels very new to me to see a professionally animated thing on YouTube like this.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
I don't know what any of this means. I don't know what any of this means.
But how did you like? I mean, this is obviously not quite for us.
No.
How did you like Helluva Boss?
I really loved the animation.
Sure. Yeah. I really loved the animation too.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mind the show itself. I thought the concept was really good. For a show like a Hell Private Detective, I do wish it was more than assassinations. I thought it was going to be more creative than that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's my.
I thought it was going to be like possession, or like some sort of like complicated demonic. Like that is where I think this really falters, because I love the idea of like a demonic horror movie from the point of view of the demons, right?
Yeah.
And for the demon, it's just a job.
Yeah.
It's just a gig.
Mm-hmm.
But I was disappointed when in the first episode they go up and they're literally just going to shoot the person. And I was like, that's weird.
Yeah, it's the premise, the way you described it, is more interesting than anything this show does. Like, this show feels, you mentioned Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, it feels 20 years old. Like, this idea is such a early 2000s edgelord idea of edgy. And like all the humor is kind of along those lines too, where it's all very, very dated edgelord humor. And it's like, you know, I laughed a couple of times, but overall it was just like, it just felt incredibly derivative to me. Like, it's like, okay, I've seen this a lot over the past 2 decades, and this is an incredibly it's gorgeous. It's such a well animated cartoon, and all the character designs are cool, and it just looks great, but the show itself, I did not like.
That's interesting, because I didn't hate this show. I get what you're saying about the tone, but it did feel oddly modern to me too, and I think it's because it's a lot more like progressive in stuff like its representation, and the jokes. Like, you're right, the jokes I would say are like. Like, they're somewhat juvenile in the humor.
I mean, a lot of the jokes are just people screaming weird obscenities at each other.
Oh, yeah.
That's like 90% of the jokes.
Yeah, I guess it was more like nostalgic to me. Like that realization that this still kind of exists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was like...
is kind of neat.
Yeah. It's got like a Happy Tree Friends vibe from it and some...
Yeah. Happy Tree Friends. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Totally forgot about Happy Tree Friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it is. And that wasn't always my cup of tea. I really enjoyed the Johnny the Homicidal Maniac comics, which I suspect are extremely edgelordy. I haven't gone back and read those.
There's some stuff in that you're just like, oof. But it's a 25-year-old comic. Right.
And it's also for a certain age group, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I guess it didn't rub me the wrong way like it did you. I didn't find it, again, it didn't feel like it was for me. I laughed maybe once. It sounds like I laughed less than you.
Yeah, I like it. I didn't feel like this wasn't for me. Like, I was very much into this cartoon, this tone, this cynical edgelord kind of behavior, the Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, Happy Tree Friends kind of thing. I was into that stuff 20 years ago. Like, this is like my vibe. I just don't think it's done particularly well outside of the animation.
That's interesting. Yeah, I actually wasn't into Happy Tree Friends because I thought Happy Tree Friends was too much like a blunt instrument. It was too like, oh, I get it. Like
you had
like you sort of, I got the joke immediately, and then it was like,
for sure,
all right, I'm done.
You had to kind of, with Happy Tree Friends, at least the way I watched it, you had to kind of look for the real great moments of inspiration. Like my favorite thing in Happy Tree Friends was this character named Handy. Who was this handyman squirrel who didn't have hands. And they would always show him having built this complicated thing, but you never saw him actually build it. And
That's
then
cute.
When it called on, there was this recurring joke of him having to do build something in a hurry, and he would always just try and fail and be like, meh, because he doesn't have hands. It was stupid shit like that really stuck out to me. It's in the midst of what the overall gag of Happy Tree Friends is, where it's it's just happy kids cartoons that get maimed in some horrible way. They had this weird through line joke with this squirrel with no hands.
That's pretty delightful. Yeah.
I mean, it's not super complex or anything, but I mean.
No, I mean, I liked Strong Bad. I came up with
the Strong Bad,
and Strong Bad is not particularly complex either.
No, but I think Strong Bad was more clever than Happy Tree Friends for sure. But it's missing like that. Like, it feels too. This cartoon doesn't do anything to stand out for me. Again, aside from how it really looks incredible. Like I can't say enough good things about the animation. But it doesn't do really anything outside of that. Like, all the jokes are very just screaming, like I said, screaming weird obscenities, like trying to add. It's very like Will Ferrell in that way, where it's like that Apatow style of improv where it's you just try to say the weirdest, most convoluted combination of swear words.
Right.
Like, that's what it's that kind of humor in this.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't. I'm trying to think if there was any like clever jokes, and I can't really think of any right now. It's very much just shock humor, right?
Yeah, there were a couple of quick lines,
which again is something that I liked as a kid. Though that's the other thing, is that I get it.
Yeah,
like that's why I guess I was saying it's not really for me. But that doesn't mean. Like, I see why this exists. You know what I mean? Like, I see the appeal of this. The same way I see the appeal of something like, I don't know, Family Guy, which I grew out of very quickly.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And so, like, and I wouldn't say the humor here and the humor in I would say the humor in Family Guy is a lot more cruel than the humor here. And it's like it's nice to see that style done in a way that I like. In this, I don't consider particularly cruel, if that makes sense.
I see what you see what you mean in that this hell of a boss isn't corrosive or racist or anything like that with its humor, but I wouldn't say it's not cruel.
Yeah, that's fair.
It is an extremely cynical cartoon.
Oh, yeah. We should go through the plots.
Sure.
So we watched 2 episodes. The first one, it's a pilot. Starts with good old MS and murder-suicide.
Yeah. Solid MS.
A solid MS.
Yeah.
And the demon goes to hell and is like she caught her husband sleeping with another woman and the woman survived, and so she wants the demons to kill her as well. And then they let's see, meanwhile the woman who was killed becomes like very famous because of her tragedy. And
she survived.
She survives, yeah. And she gets like a talk show, and now she has a kids and a husband. And the reveal is that they're all very like sadistic, I guess. And that's pretty much the episode, right? Is them dealing with that. They do a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, I was about to say, the reveal is that they're the Texas Chainsaw Family.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Yeah. It was very weird.
That was really out of nowhere. It was like that was another thing that immediately rubbed me the wrong way. It's like, oh, you didn't even have the balls to not chicken out on this premise. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, the premise is that they're demons who go to the Earth to exact revenge on people, right? And there's a whole scene where, like, the boss has to convince the one character, Moxie, who's like not comfortable. He's like, "Oh, do we really need to shoot children?" And he's like, "Well, don't worry about it, man. We're demons. We're getting hired to do it." So when they go back up to kill this woman, and she's like at dinner with her family and everything, and he's having a problem with it. And he's like, "Yeah, just do it. It does. We're just killing this mom." So they made
the family evil.
They made the family evil so that it was okay for them to be killed. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they give them an out,
and they do it in the second episode we watched too. So it's like, oh, okay, so you're this super edgelord premise, but you don't have the balls to actually do the premise. Got it. Like, that really rubbed me the wrong way.
I see what you mean, where it's that you kind of want to... They're supposed to be evil.
Right.
So you want to see them doing evil things to good people.
Well, and up until that point, too, it has this very devil-may-care, pun not intended, but also intended. It's so, like, gleefully cynical about death and violence and how, like, it's everything is bullshit and everything. But when it actually comes to, like, having its main characters do the thing that they've been telling us that they were going to do, it's like, well, we have to make the family evil or else they won't be the good guys anymore. I'm like, okay.
Right. And the second one is similar, where it's like a greedy billionaire, that the idea is,
and they don't even kill him. The cherubs kill him.
Yeah. So the cherubs are like the heaven version of them, more or less.
Yeah.
They kind of show up to like convince people to live. And they're trying to convince a greedy like billionaire to live, that he's going to off himself, and they're there to kill him. So they're delighted by that. And it's like this good versus evil battle where they're trying to tell him all the good things about the
being
world
alive,
the cherubs are. Yeah. And the demons are showing the bad things. And then, yeah, you're right. At the end, they kind of battle each other, and the billionaire gets killed by the cherubs, which actually, I mean, plot-wise, that made sense to me of like, well, what do you do with this plot? You have them get accidentally killed, right? And it made sense for the cherubs to do it. But you're right that in both of these episodes, they let them off the hook.
They let the demons off the hook, yeah. And it's...
Yeah, I think it's even more so in the first episode, because I do think...
It's more. It kind of works in with the storyline that they're telling, which is also sort of like a self-serving storyline where they want to tell this story about how everything's bullshit and it's so cynical. But then when it comes time to actually deliver, it's like, well, we're gonna have the cherubs accidentally kill the guy anyway. But anyway, it does work more with that story in that second episode. But in the first episode, it's really out of the blue that this family's just all of a sudden the Texas Chainsaw Family.
Right. Well, especially because the idea is one of the characters is like, yeah, I don't want to kill innocent people. Mm-hmm. That's their arc. And then the second one is like, yeah, you have to, it's the job. And then I guess the moral that they're saying, and it's, again, this is very Johnny the homicidal maniac, is like, no one's innocent. They're all bad. But they do it in a very over the top way. Mm-hmm. And I do think it is better for the character if it was like that they have to reconcile with that, right?
Well, and it's better for the character. It's better for the tone of the show too, because it's like, I don't believe, it just all feels like a performance now. I don't know. It's hard to. I'm not quite landing on the words, but it's like it's undermining itself by doing that. So it's like talking this big game about how nobody's innocent, everything's bullshit, life is meaningless. It's a really glorifying death. But then when it comes time to actually be the dispatchers of it, I guess they just pull back. I don't know. It's like talking a big game and then crumbling when it's actually time to perform is what it felt like to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, so it's like you just feel, I don't, I'm really struggling to find the right word for it, but it
sort of takes away the teeth.
Right. It's like, it's this thing that's just so like, oh, I'm so edgy and hardcore, but then it's like when it comes time to do the actually edgy and hardcore thing, you don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked how they presented the family. Like you said, the animation's really gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
So I liked. It's okay. So I feel like what I'm the conflict I'm hitting
mm-hmm.
is that without it, the animation, like without that turn, it's harder to have like a structured plot, if that makes sense. Which is that you need something to happen for the third act, right? Mm-hmm. And so you need some sort of like surprise. And so the idea is demons go like the broad stroke plot of like demons show up,
mm-hmm.
right? And they're gonna quote unquote haunt these people. Again, the biggest thing that rubbed me the wrong way was that they're just assassinating them. I thought that was like there was so much more creative things you could do there.
Yeah, they're demons. Like, why don't we do some possessions or some fun stuff?
Yeah, they literally take out guns, and it's like, come on, like, yeah, do some possession shit, do something fun with that. But the broad strokes of like, and I feel like this has been done in things. This is basically the plot of like Don't Breathe, which is like, yeah, you go to victimize someone at their house, and they turn out to be even more hardcore than you.
Yeah, but that's like an Act 2 twist. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's a very natural plot progression for this episode.
Yeah.
Which is that you have your protagonists and you have to give them something to struggle with, right?
Right.
And so like from that perspective, I get why they did it. But what you're pointing out is that like, yeah, it sort of needed to follow up on that. And I wouldn't have minded a version of this where it's like there's just like they're just fighting like a priest. You know what I mean? Like it's straight up like we're just rooting for demonic forces. Because what's happening is it's like this idea of like, oh, we're evil, but we're not that evil. You know,
right,
like that's like, the idea. And it's like you're kind of defanging
exactly
the original characters by creating more evil people. It's like, I thought they're right, demons. They should be the most evil.
You're torpedoing the premise. Like it's like if everybody Tony Soprano killed deserved it, you know, or like
right, or if everybody Tony Soprano killed was scarier than him.
Right, like
it's that is what I think you're
it's
circling here.
Have you watched the show You?
No.
You know the premise?
No, is it about a mother
stalker.
Lamb?
No, it's not. It's about a stalker, and it's told from his point of view, and that's the way. If you're gonna do that premise, that's the way you do it. Like it doesn't chicken out, you know. It doesn't like pull back and make him a good person. It doesn't like have a reveal where like, oh, this person he's stalking or the forces that are against him are actually more evil. It just has you from his point of view, so that you're almost rooting for this horrible man as you watch this show. Like, that's how you do that premise without chickening out. Well, if you're gonna do it, you know what I mean?
So here's a thought on that. Because now I'm curious about what the fundamental, because we've only watched 2 episodes, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering what the fundamental point of the show is, because what if the premise, because what we haven't mentioned, is that, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, is that the family that they're killing that ends up being Texas Chainsaw seems like they're like religious, right? Like they have that like, we're hunters, we're like middle America folk.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if the premise here is that the rules of like fundamental Christianity makes it that the hellbound people are actually more moral. You know what I mean? Where it's like if you like if you like if it's according to like hardcore religious people who's going to hell, it's like, well, hell sounds like it's filled with perfectly fine people. So is the idea that these demons ultimately aren't actually that bad? Like, is that the point? That these demons aren't actually that evil? Because they depict the cherubs as being kind of lightly sinister.
A little bit, yeah, like shitty.
Yeah, shitty. Like kind of holier than thou. So is that maybe the premise they're going for? And maybe we just kind of wanted it to be, you know, them to embrace the demonic aspects.
I don't know. I mean, we watched the pilot and we watched a middle episode, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get that impression
and
from it.
If you don't establish either, like the thing they establish in that pilot and in the episode 4 is like, these are the demons and they're bad. They're killing people.
Right.
For evil folks who have hired them to exact revenge.
Right. Yeah. So if that is in here, I didn't really get it from this.
Not from what we watched. No.
No, because then it's like, okay, well, let's do anti-hero. And then it's like, how far are we able to take that, you know, while making them watchable characters?
Yeah.
And like, there's certainly ways they can do that. They don't make they don't make the main characters good as much as they make the other people worse.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And that's to me, that's another way of chickening out. Like, if you're gonna do this premise, don't just have it be everything else around them is worse.
Right. It's tough because the marks are supposed to be hellbound, so they're supposed to be bad people. But like, they do stuff like, for example, the rich guy in the cherub episode, they're like surprised he came to hell at the end. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And that was weird to me because they don't, if they're going to do that, you have to frame the character as like a good person.
No, and they spent the whole episode doing the opposite of that. Like, he's a bad guy.
Yeah, they tested their machines.
They tested their machines on poor people, and he keeps the cherubs like, you can give your money you could solve so many world problems, you give away your fortune, you could build schools and hospitals. He's like, why the fuck would I want to do that? He's trying to hang himself.
Right. And
the lesson he learns is that, I can still, I may be old, but I still have all this money I can spend on things. Like, that's his revelation. So, like, of course he's going to hell. Also,
so the plot of that one was that, and I mean, look, it's a cartoon, so this isn't a big gripe, is that they used a de-aging machine and accidentally aged themselves, and one of them died.
Yeah.
And the other one gets all the fame, but he's depressed because he's old. Why doesn't he just use the de-aging machine?
It's an excellent question, invented? Dave. We just never talk about that machine again after that scene.
I mean, whatever, but like that was like, what's going on here?
It was really strange.
You invented a de-aging machine. The whole point is
right, because
you put it on the wrong setting. So put it on the right setting and get back in that puppy.
What are you doing? Yeah, that's I would not normally have flagged that, but the fact that the episode begins with this super complicated idea that they were business partners who accidentally aged themselves too far with this aging machine they built, and then this one guy died of a heart attack because he aged too much in the machine, but his partner survived. Why not just have them both be old already? Like, why have it be a machine? Like, if you do the extra mile of this convoluted aging machine, then like, I'm going to notice that, and I'm going to notice when the guy doesn't get back into the machine to make himself young again. You know what I mean? That's not me being an asshole. No, because, rules of, like, I was talking about structure earlier. Rules of structure is that aging machine comes back. Yeah. In some way, because you don't spend, like, several minutes explaining this machine without, like, you know, it meaning something. Yeah. Yeah. That is very weird that they did that, because they literally just could have been old inventors. They could have just been old already, yeah. What the fuck was that? Why weren't they just old already? Yeah, I don't know.
That's very strange.
Dave, I think this is very badly written.
I mean, yeah, but like, again, I guess what it is that I'm looking at who made it. I don't know these people. They're YouTubers.
Yeah, I looked up some of the creatives and I don't recognize them. But again, I can't say enough good things about the animation. It looks incredible.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The character designs are awesome. The animation is great.
I guess what it is that like stuff like plot consistency is like I don't give a shit. It's an animated comedy that seems to be aimed at teenagers. It's like talking about the inconsistencies of Strong Bad. It's just like they're not. It doesn't matter for that, right? Like that's not the purpose of this show. In my mind, the purpose of this show is something that teens or 20-year-olds put on and laugh about, right?
Sure.
And they just enjoy their lives.
Yeah.
So that's why I guess it's so weird to like do a podcast in general, trying to like break it apart and criticize it. Because ultimately, in my head, it's like, well, you either like it or you don't. And if you don't, you just don't watch it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that's sort of where I land on this stuff. It's just like it's a specific style of humor that it doesn't sound like it's for either of us.
No.
It definitely gives me like, very nostalgic feelings towards.
This show is like a teenager with a mohawk.
Yeah,
it's basically somebody.
It's for goths.
Yeah, it's a teenager with a green mohawk. This is a show that really wants you to think it's hardcore and cynical and edgy, but it's really not.
Why isn't a mohawk edgy?
It's a performative mohawk, Dave. Not all.
Okay.
I'm talking about suburban teenager with a mohawk. Maybe I don't know how many qualifiers I need to put on that. But you understand? It's
mohawks aren't edgy.
This show is very Hot Topic.
Yes, Hot Topic. Well, one of the characters is. I mean, it's a hellhound, but boy, is that a furry.
One of the characters is just a furry. Yeah.
Yeah. No, then I guess this is what I mean is that what gave me.
I mean, she looks cool. That's a cool ass character design. Nothing against furries. It's just
what I liked about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is that watching that, seeing like a character who's like clearly there to appeal to furries. Yeah. That this feels like it's for goths. It made me realize that like it's nice that there's well-produced, well-made stuff aimed for this demographic.
I think it's more than goths though, because these have monster views on YouTube. It's not just appealing to goths.
They're everywhere.
Like
Tom.
a lot of people like this.
There's a lot of goths out there.
I don't think there's that many, but
there's a lot. They're strong in numbers.
Yeah, I wanted to clarify real quick. I'm not what gave me pause at the inclusion of the Hellhound character was not that it's just a furry. It's just the fact that there's no other character like her. So she really sticks out. It's like, oh, did we just include this just because of that? I don't know. I feel like I didn't make that any worse. I feel like I just made that worse.
No, I mean, but that was the stuff that I liked.
There's no other humanoid animal is in that first episode. So she really jumps out at you the first time you see her. It's like, wait a minute, is this
right?
Yeah. So I didn't know if there was going to be more, and there's not really. There's not. Well, there's a goat person in the second. One of the cherubs is like a lamb.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm just digging myself into a hole right now. Did not mean to say anything mean about furries.
I know they're everywhere, Tom. Yeah. They're powerful.
It's just she sticks out because she's the only humanoid animal.
I don't think we're trying to say anything bad about goths or furries, mainly because like those are people. Those are like our people.
Yeah, very adjacent to goths and furries my entire life.
Yeah, exactly. Like I hung out. That's the thing is I hung out with a lot of goths, which is why I like. It's kind of the same as theater kids, where it like. I'll say mean things about them, but it's because I was surrounded by them.
Theater kids is a big umbrella, Dave.
Yeah, and it includes
goths. It includes you and
furries. I was a techie, Tom.
Right,
I was
but
a techie.
you know.
I mean, I went to a performance arts school.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's the whole critique on this show is that this is a show that when I was in my 20s, I hung out. So the only nightclub in my town. First of all, we had a nightclub, so that's cool.
That is pretty sweet. Yeah.
It was a gay club, but it wasn't really because it was the only nightclub, so it was everybody. It had like every Wednesday or Friday something. There was a drag show that was amazing. They had a goth night, a specific goth night where they'd be blasting like Typo Negative and shit.
Hell yeah.
They had an 18 plus goth night, so it was filled with like 30-year-old perverts and us.
Yeah.
And so you know the type. They got trench coats. Their name is Caleb. And they should not be approaching the people they're approaching. Anyway,
a lot of onks
they're
in
smoking
that crowd. A lot of onks.
Yes, smoking cloves.
Oh,
the
yeah.
point is
It's just
that
a perpetual just cloud of clove cigarette smoke.
Clove cigarettes. Of course. Of course. It was
It just
glorious.
looks like Zion.
Yeah. It does. It looks like fucking Zion in there. And so, we'd hang out, and then someone would drive us to someone's shitty apartment, and we'd, hang out and watch, what is it, The Hunger with David Bowie? Goth shit. I was more of a punk, but I was surrounded by these goths.
Right, it's your adjacent, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it's, the only thing to do. And my point is that this show gave me hardcore nostalgia for that time, because this is the kind of stuff...
Yeah.
that they would put on.
I would have 100% have watched this. I probably would have really liked this when I was a teenager.
Yeah, me too. And that's what it is that it's kind of reassuring to see this in a more mainstream, slightly more mainstream, and get to be like, oh, that's cool. That's cool that this shit is still happening.
Right, that it still exists.
Evolving.
Yeah. That's my issue is it's not really evolving much.
No, it's evolving in the types of characters, I guess, but you're right, is that this does feel like I would have watched this exact show.
I watched...
but just worse animated.
Right, not as well animated. But
20 years ago.
We brought up, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, which, that guy created Invader Zim, and Invader Zim is one of the voices on this. Invader Zim is a show I watched when I was a teenager, and I can still go back and watch that show, and it's still, funny. You know what I mean?
I never watched Zim, and I really should.
I think you probably would like it.
Yeah,
especially the episode where a guy who is straight up Mulder shows up. I think we talked about that on Fox Mulder. But anyway, I think that's what I'm getting stuck on. Is it's still very much the jokes and the execution of the premise still feel 20 years in the past to me.
Right.
Everything else about the show is great. It looks great. I can't.
I've
said it 1,000 times, but it looks great.
Yeah, this is definitely I feel like an old timer with this. Is that if when someone showed me this show, I would say, "Oh, have you read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac? Have you read I Feel Sick? Have you read any of Vasquez's
Squee
work? Squee?" Because it feels like that would be the natural progression.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be really I'm now that 30-year-old named Caleb at the goth club, telling people, talking down to people, you know what I mean? And that's what it is I feel like I'm an old hand at this. So watching this, I'm like, that's cute. You should check out this stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's people, I don't know.
It's very safe cynicism. For all
this show?
For all of its blood and gore and F words and naughty jokes, it's very safe.
But that's a good starting place, right?
Yeah.
For advanced cynicism.
That's true.
Yeah.
I don't know. If
this is beginner cynicism, then it's get to advanced cynicism. But again, I highly suspect if I go back and fucking read Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, it'll also feel safe in a lot of ways.
Oh, no, it won't.
No?
It won't feel safe. You might not enjoy it as much as you did when you were a teen.
I remember a lot of it. I remember him, murdering people, obviously. I remember him going to hell and heaven. And I feel like hell and heaven was very edgelordy.
It was very Brazil. which is an idea that Vasquez does in, and they're doing it in this too, in Helluva Boss. It's the idea that, like you said, for them it's just a job.
Right, and I remember where Hell is like...
God was a big fat guy on a floating chair.
Yeah, who just was sleeping the whole time and not paying attention.
Yeah, it was very Brazil. It was very Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, but it's very Terry Gilliam after Terry Gilliam.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, it felt very basic. I remember even at the time I liked it, but I liked his version of Hell, which was like, it's people like... I remember people in like loops, like insecurity loops, or like just like anxiety loops, like just their own personal bullshit on a loop.
Yeah, and I'll say one thing that has aged well, and I'm not saying the whole comic hasn't aged well, but one thing that definitely did age well in Vasquez's books is he does also poke fun at himself and poke fun at edgelordiness. Like, do you remember that short? One of the shorts in one of the books about the vampire.
Yes.
That's like the funniest fucking guy.
But isn't the idea is Johnny is still the hardest, right? It never pokes fun at Johnny as an edgelord.
Johnny, yeah, it's usually the interstitial stuff.
Yeah, because the idea, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, let's just talk about that for a while.
Yeah.
It's very much a commentary on goth culture, because he targets goths. Because the idea is like goths they talk a big game, but they're not Johnny, who is just an actual murderer, right? That's the idea.
Right, yes. And he's being haunted by both literal demonic forces and like his own. Like you can kind of tell a lot of Johnny's monologues are just Vasquez like kind of speaking about his own insecurities and stuff.
Right.
So it feels more genuine in a way that this cartoon doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, this cartoon I don't think is trying to be as personal as Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
Not at all. That's true. They're very different. This cartoon is more like the Ren and Stimpy version of that.
Yeah, that is a good way of putting it. Where this cartoon feels like it's not trying to say anything particularly deep.
No.
It's just trying to have fun with this demographic, and I think it accomplishes that. There's like, I have certain frustrations where I feel like the premise, they could have had... I feel like they could have done more with the basic premise, because the basic premise I think is great.
It has potential for sure. It's like, you know, I mean, like you just pointed out with Johnny the Homicidal Maniac, it is derivative. Like we've been doing this for a while, but it still is it's a premise that has a lot of fun potential, especially for a show like this.
I mean, the idea of the opposite of an exorcist.
Yeah.
The private detective in your office, but you are... It's essentially Beetlejuice from Beetlejuice's perspective.
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of what I wanted from this. And like I said, like it really, like the thing that like took the wind out of the show's sails for me was the moment they took out a gun. And I was like, that's weird. Like that's a funny gag. But then that's all they're doing? That's weird.
But it's not a gag at that point, because we've already seen them whip out guns like 16 times before they show up at the family's house. So if it had just... that would have been really funny, actually.
Oh, that was the first gun.
It's the joke in Wizards. Have you seen Ralph Bakshi's Wizards?
No.
Or the spoilers for Wizards, but like the end fight is between the good wizard and the bad wizard, and they're brothers, and you know the one brother's gone evil, and so the good brothers they're finally facing off. It's going to be this huge wizard fight, and he's facing his brother. He's like, okay, Black Wolf, I'm going to show you a trick that Mom taught me when you weren't around, and he just pulls out a gun and shoots him in the face.
Excellent.
So it's like, if it had been a gag like that, where they're like these, you know, hell demons, like with all of this boundless satanic power, just pulls out an AR-15 and shoots somebody, that would have been kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just they use guns. It's just what they use.
Right. It was just very weird.
Yeah, it is a little odd.
I think they should have had more fun with the horror tropes. Like, I think again, it's about like what we were expecting versus what they wanted to do.
Well, I came into this with no expectations. All of my expectations were based on what the show was telling me.
Oh, I mean, like expectations of like the first 5 minutes.
Oh, for sure.
Like
okay,
what they're setting up. And for me, I was like, oh, I would love to watch horror tropes from the perspective of the monsters, who are just doing business as usual. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're just punching in for the day.
Yeah. And so I don't know. I guess that I would have enjoyed that a little more. Because ultimately it felt like their purpose on Earth, like their missions, felt like they were just kind of like any other cartoon. It was just like, let's get into scraps. Let's get into like fun and games here. And like, we're just here to kill this person. I don't know. I think they could have been more creative with what they actually do.
Yeah.
At the business.
And I think they shouldn't have chickened out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to see some babies die.
Yeah, hell yeah. Always. We're very pro babies getting eaten.
Yeah, we've
on
talked
this
about
podcast.
this.
We talk about it all the time.
All the time. You know this.
Yeah.
Everybody knows this. All right. I got nothing more.
Yeah.
All right.
Happy
thanks
birthday,
for
I
listening,
guess.
Happy birthday. Happy 12th birthday, Scrappy. I hope this was all right. Yeah, but no, I mean, thanks for listening. Thanks for being a listener. I don't know. 12 is probably not too young to hear our words, right?
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
I agree. It's not.
What do we say? What do we say that's so bad?
Honestly, nothing. I mean, you should play this for your baby in the womb, like Beethoven.
Oh, absolutely. They'll grow up to be very smart.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very,
very
smart.
Successful. Very successful babies.
Listen, we have a Patreon. Patreon.com/gainfully unemployed. If you go on there for just $5 a month, you get access to all sorts of podcasts, exclusive podcasts, like Tom and Jeff Watch Batman and Fox Mulder is a Maniac. There's also, we do stuff with the Small Beans. We do, hold on, let me think of it. Oh my
Star
God.
Trek: The Next Futurama and Spiel
Star
Boys.
Trek: The Next Futurama. I said it, Tom. I said it. For $10 a month, you watch movies with us. Every Friday night, we watched Cuffs and Gleaming the Cube.
Boy, did
back
we.
to back. Yeah, so
What an
that's the
evening.
kind of stuff, that you can expect from us.
Yeah. We also have a store. Head over to gameplayunemployed.com where you can find a link to our Teespring store where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on t-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all kinds of things. So check that out.
Yeah.
You goofs.
Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby.
Yes, babe.
Yes, babe. Yes.